Okay, so I think it's okay. We can start now. So thank you everyone for your participation to the African Creative Meeting. So this is the start of the second day. So yesterday was really interesting and a lot of talk and speakers. So thank you to you to be part of this new day. So the talk will be about state of play and history of animation in Africa. So can you please all introduce yourself, please? Maybe we can start with you, Nick. Okay.
Myself, Nick Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Nick Wilson. I'm the founder and head of projects and content at the African Animation Network, which is a pro-profit, talent-driven social enterprise founded with the core mission to empower African animation professionals and help build a sustainable African animation industry. We've been in operation since late 2016, and we've participated in some of the exponential growth that's happened in the animation industry in that time. So again, thank you very much for having me. I'll pass on to one of my other colleagues to introduce themselves.
Thank you. Abel, maybe? Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Abel Kouame. I'm producer and director in an animation studio based in Ivory Coast, Abidjan. The name of the studio is AfriKa Toon. So we produce feature film, TV series. And I'm the president of the IFA, is the National Association for Animation. And I'm the president of the organization of a festival right here in Abidjan. The name of this festival is FFAA, Abidjan Film Festival. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Mbuotidem Johnson. I'm the CEO and director at Basement Animation Studio based in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm also a co-founder and on the board of trustees for our association in Nigeria called Animation Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the last, Sebastien.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sebastien. I'm a French film producer with Cameroonian origins. I'm based in Paris, but we have a company, my company, Special Touch Studio, created 6 years ago. We produce a lot of animation and feature film and TV. We also have a studio in the north of France, Creative Touch Studio, based in Valenciennes. And recently we create 2 companies in Africa, one in Douala and another one in Abidjan, to follow our editorial slant about African content. And I'm very happy to be with you this morning.
Better with the mic on. Sorry. Thank you. So my question is, what is the situation of animation in Africa today? How do you see the animation industry, its strengths, its weaknesses? And if someone wants to start with it, or we can start with you, Abel. What do you think the situation of animation is in Africa today?
Yes, of course. I think that animation in Africa is a new opportunity for the different actors of the animation industry. There is very good talent in the continent. There is some studio produce in animation. There's not a lot of production right now, but there is a lot of projects right now in pre-production and in the continent. In Ivory Coast, we have some studio who have begun the production of animation projects. The most of the production right now is the short film, very short film, and TV series. And and I think that one of the big difficulties for the sector, for the industry in Africa is the internet access, because there is a very big opportunity for the co-production, but one of the big project for the big difficulties, sorry, for the co-production is the transfer of different information, different data. For me, is one of the big projects. After, there is a very big difficulty to find the talent. We have all the skill for the production, because it's very difficult to find a talent in the continent who have all the skill for the production in animation.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Johnson, you want to react to that? Something? Well, how do you see animation industry? What are the strengths or the weaknesses? No? Okay, so maybe Nick?
Sure. So one of the strengths of, pardon me, of the industry in Africa is the original stories. Having run, African prelims of Animation du Monde for Annecy Festival over a period of 3 years, one of the striking things is that Africa has top original ideas and stories, and Africa has unique art styles. But one of the challenges, and Abel already mentioned it, is skill shortages, access to internet, both in the case of accessing audience. A lot of the broadcasters are either internationally owned, and they license their catalogs, their international catalogs, to Africa at a fraction of the cost that it takes to produce content, and so therefore it puts African producers at a disadvantage. But where we do compete favorably internationally is in storytelling. So it's one of the strengths of the African industry, is the unique art styles and stories.
Okay. Do you want to react to that, Sebastien or Johnson, or maybe I go to the next question?
Yes, I can. I will be a bit repetitive, but for me, situation of animation in Africa today is very dynamic. But I think also it depends of the territories. If we compare French-speaking territories and English-speaking territories, I think the level of quality is a bit higher in English territories, actually. But it's something who could be equal very soon, from my perspective. There is a real appetite for animation in Africa, for talent and for audiences. And for me, the strength is the diversity and the richness of the cultures, the story, which would permit to have universal, singular, and very powerful stories, like said Nick. And if we compare with the main countries on the top of quality level of animation, The weakness for me are the lack of training in one side and the lack of professional production in the other side. Because after the training, you have to practice if you want to be better and stay in the competition, the world competition. So this is for me a kind of stage point.
Okay, thank you. Maybe as Johnson, you want to react?
Yeah. I think they've mentioned everything that is. I think the opportunities are very big for Africa because it's still a very virgin and growing industry. So like this, just like Sebastien mentioned, there's differentiation between the French-speaking countries and the English-speaking countries, which is very true. But from my observation, I think talent shortage is a big thing, and I think the major focus, I think, for Africa now is a lot of training, where it's training to the individuals, training to the studios, training to get things to a professional standard, so to say. Because I think from my own industry, Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, I think Nigeria in general, I think I'll say 95% of the people that do animation are self-taught. So there's still that gap of professionalism or experience doing international productions or getting hands-on on productions that can expose them to the necessary standards for the industry. So I think the opportunity for Africa is still very, very large in the sense of storytelling, sense of culture, sense of different stories coming from different cultures. Like in Nigeria, we have over 100 and something languages. So we have different cultures that we could derive or pull out stories from.
Okay, it's perfect for my next question. It's animation honors heroes and heroines with whom children can identify. What role does animation play in culture, identity, African software?
Yes, I can say that the culture in the animation project in Africa is very, very important. Because, for example, my studio, the first success of our production is around cultural project in because we have make a feature film around a traditional heroes, historical heroes in West Africa. So for me, is one of the key for the success of the African animation project in the world. I need to come back for one point that Sebastien has said. For me, I'm not sure that English country in Africa, the level is higher than Francophone. I'm not agree for this vision because for me, the talent in Africa is the same. Francophone area of Anglophone area is the same talent and is the same difficulty for the production. For me, is the key is the first work around for sure the culture, Africa culture, because is a very important aspect for us. But we can also work of the quality of the stories. There is a lot of thing in the African culture, but we must work of the storytelling to bring to the world or to bring to our local people a very good aspect, a very good story, a very advertising story. So for me, is the key. And after that, we can find the good talent, the best talent, give the very good formation for the pipeline of the production around animation. I think after that we will have a very good industry, a very successful stories. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One of you want to react to that?
Sure. I want to, pardon me, just make a point around representation, because going back to the point I made earlier, many of the broadcasters in Africa license European or North American animated content very cheaply. And so in my experience, most of the channels don't have African representation in the media that our children are consuming. So I think it's critical that we are able to gain market access and audience access to be able to build a cultural identity for the children that are consuming content. And so that's allied to your point about, or at least the point that Abel was making about the success of African stories and developing strong African stories that can travel.
And it's about animation festival in Africa and how important they are for the recognition of this industry. When will we see an African animated TV channel?
Sorry, we talk about animation festival?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, today there is a lot of activities around the market or festival for animation. So, for example, in our country, in Ivory Coast, we organize a festival, a local festival. The name of the festival is FFAA, so Animation Film Festival of Abidjan. For the first edition, we are very scary because we don't know if we will have a lot of submission, but we'll be very happy when we received a lot of, I think, for the first edition, we received around 16 submissions, feature film, short film, TV series. And after we organize the next edition, and we will see that there is a lot of talent around the continent. This year, for example, in the FESPACO, I think there is a 2 edition for the FESPACO. FESPACO is one of the biggest cinema festival in Africa, and I think there is a 2 editions that were organized, were open animation competition, and I think for this edition there is a lot of projects, very amazing projects for this edition. So I think that the festival market and other platform for the meeting for the artists is very important for the development of this activity in the continent. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Johnson, maybe you want to react to that? Okay, so maybe Nick or Sebastien?
I think for the festivals, there are a number of festivals that happen. I think there's some festivals that happen in Ghana. Also, there's some festivals animation festivals that happen in South Africa, Cape Town, Animation Festival. There's also something that happens here in Lagos, the Lagos Comic Con Festival, which is a mix of comics and animation. And I think that's one of the most consistent events we had. We just had that last week, and the turnout was really large. I think by next year they should be hitting their 10 years of running the event. So I think festivals are very important. Festivals are very important. They play a big role in the ecosystem of our industry to help build the ecosystem and grow it at a larger pace.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Nick?
Yeah, so festivals for us at the African Animation Network play an important component in developing audience for African animated content. In 2017, we launched a short film festival called Fupi Toons. Fupi in Swahili means short, so it's a short film festival. We debut it each year at Discop in Johannesburg, and then in the next calendar year, we tour it around Africa. We've been touring it for 3 years now. In 2019, we toured 11 countries in Africa, and we essentially support the existing animation festivals around the continent. This year, in fact, we made our European debut with a screening of the best of Fupi Toons at Annecy. And in terms of your question regarding a channel, by early 2022, we will be launching a Fupi Toons program block in partnership with approximately 11 broadcasters in sub-Saharan Africa. Essentially, the program block consists of early childhood development content from Tanzania, a series called Akili and Me by Ubongo. It's one of the top early childhood development shows in Africa. And another series called Bino and Fino from Nigeria, also hugely popular in West Africa. And as interstitials, we will be including short films from Fupi Toons. And in the years to follow, as production capacity increases on the continent, we intend to build that program block out into a fully fledged 24/7 animation channel. So it's certainly on our roadmap in terms of building audience and market access and opportunities for production capacity to increase across the continent.
Okay, thank you. And maybe Sebastien, to finish, conclude with that question.
Yes, just to complete things about festival and the impact. I totally agree with everything that has been said by my colleagues, and I will just note that it's very interesting to see that some main festival or different festival in Africa are including animation in the large programmation in the same level than live action movies and documentaries, and I think it's a good sign for animation to exist and to exist as a technique to tell stories. I think it's very interesting to see that, because it's more difficult in Occident.
Okay, thank you. We have a question on the chat. Is by Mohamed. Do you think that Africa will need a character like Mikey, Bugs Bunny, or other to make itself known? Do we need a worldwide success for Africa to be credible, and how do we do it?
Okay, yeah, I'll jump in there. We probably do need a slapstick comedy brand to be successful. Notably, in India, that's what they did. They created a TV series called Rat-a-tat. The studio was called, the studio that produced that is Toon's Media Group. And that is the #1 rated slapstick comedy series on YouTube. And they've built one of the largest studios in the world on the success of that brand. So yes, creating a slapstick comedy animated series will travel well. And, how do we do that? Well, we need to farm for ideas across the continent to build that. And there are a number of pitching competitions that run annually across the continent, and hopefully out of those platforms, something will jump out and go on to be that global success.
Okay, thank you. How do you see the future of animation and its place in Africa internationally? Maybe Abel, another question.
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
It's how do you see the future of animation and its place in Africa internationally?
Yeah, for me, the first step for the future is right now, and it's begin by the production. It's begin by the production. It's begin by the project. It's begin by an idea. And now I'm very happy to see that there is a lot of projects, very small project and a very big project for the different measures in the world. We are very interesting to produce with a local talent. So for me, we have right now in a very, very exciting moment for animation. And now we must grow the quality of production. We must find the good partners for the pre-production, for the development of the project. We must find the good talent. We must make a reflection around the formation for the new talent. For example, open definitively in the, I think in South Africa, there is some animation school. It's very interesting for us. But I think that it's very important to work on the local animation school for example, in the West Africa, maybe we're not in Francophone area, or in Nigeria or in Ghana, a school specialized only in animation, because animation for me is one of the key for the production, animation production for sure, but also for the live action, because there's a lot of step in the pipeline of production in live action where we must introduce the animation talent, for example, for the VFX and for over element in the production in the live action. So for me, the key is make a summary is first the production. We must produce. We must grow the quality. We must find the good partners for the project. We must create more schools specialized in animation. And like I said in the beginning of this meeting, is optimize the access of internet, because I think today in Africa we have around 11% of access in internet is very, very small for the development for this activity.
Okay, thank you. Nick, Sebastien, Johnson, you want to add something maybe?
Sure, I'll jump in there. One of the things that I see in the future for Africa is becoming a part of the service industry for the global animation industry. I think if we can build up the Pan-African capacity, then we will be able to service international projects. And by a process of osmosis, we will be able to develop the skills, the professionalism required for us to build successful homegrown brands as well. And in actual fact, what the African Animation Network does is we partner with the main or essentially the national animation associations across the continent, from north to south, east to west. And where there's a community and not yet a animation association, we help, we freely consult to that community to create a national animation association, because we truly believe that we can build capacity. There's enough human capital in Africa. There's 1.2 billion people. The UN estimates by 2050 that will double. So there's going to be a huge population explosion in Africa, and we have the human capital to be able to produce or at least service the international animation industry.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question in the chat again. It's why are the main cartoons produced in Africa not broadcast in African TVs? Why is there no pressure to impose a minimum of African series to the TV of the consumer?
Because it goes back to my point made earlier. Those broadcasters can license international content from Europe, Asia, North America, cheaper than they can license content produced in Africa, unfortunately. And where they have placed pressure on some broadcasters to have a quota, some of those broadcasters have struggled to remain sustainable. And some of them have gone bankrupt. So we have to get the business model right to be able to enforce quotas on broadcasters. And that's why, as the African Animation Network, we're launching a 1-hour program block in 2022 to be able to access markets, a critical mass of audience across the continent, and turn that into an advertising revenue model. Because, as Abel has said, there's not enough internet connectivity across the continent or internet access for digital platforms to sustain many of the animation studios that are producing series. And the largest audience currently available in Africa is free-to-air. So we're partnering with free-to-air broadcasters to bring a African program block to approximately 85 million households in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay, thank you. So there is another question about Ornella, who is someone who is actually producing his first featured movie, but you don't know how to get the support of the other in the industry. Maybe you have some key or some advice to give. Maybe Johnson, you can answer the question.
I think I'm not into feature films, so I think maybe Sebastien will have a better advice for that.
Yes, my advice is very simple. It's try to contact a producer a producer or a co-producer, depends of your needs, but contact someone who can help you to develop and produce the movie, because the feature film it's a big adventure, and it took time. And you need to have some financing possibilities if you want to touch a large audience, and this is the advice I could give for someone who wants to direct a feature film. I will say, why not? I think the most important is to have a powerful project, and if you want to start with a game to touch people for an international market, why not? Depend of how you want to build your project and build a different step for your IP, but why not? We saw some studios who start with video game to in the next step work on animation project with this IP. So it's possible. It's like starting with the comics and develop after the comics an adaptation in 2D or 3D project.
Yes, I'm agree, but I can say that for me the main aspect in the project is the story. You must have a very good story to tell, and we must find the good team for the production, and you must have a very good strategy for the distribution of your project. If you match the three aspects of your project, we can go everywhere, I think.
I think game development. I think game development is a very strong medium that can play well in the African industry, African culture. I'll use an example of a popular game called The Witcher. The game has been popular for a long time. Then I think Netflix picked it up and started a series, but it's still based on what Abel mentioned, a very good story. So I think beyond the African industry looking at just telling stories in the sense of whether short films, whether TV series, or whether future films, the game development gaming industry can also help in telling those stories, and it can eventually translate, just like The Witcher is as an example, where it can start with a very good, amazing game that is really talking about the African culture, and it builds up to becoming a feature film eventually, or a series or something. I think so. I think it's a good play for the industry.
Okay, thank you. So it's soon the end of the talk. Maybe you want to add something about the state of play? Anything to add before I finish? No, no, it's okay. Okay. So thank you all of you for your participation and for the talk. It was really interesting. Do not hesitate to visit the platform to answer any more questions that can appear in the chat. Thank you again, and then we will wait until for the next talk is about Afro animation, how to create African champion. So see you, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was great sharing our experience.
Thank you very much.